Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into what is arguably the most intense, pivotal conversation in all of epic mythology. We're talking about a single, incredibly charged moment in the Forest of Exile. It's this perfect, delicate storm where unimaginable cosmic power meets deeply raw human emotion, and it forces a completely irreversible commitment to vengeance. It's a huge moment, so let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this. Just listen to the sheer gravity of this quote. The earth shall drink the blood of Duryodhana and Karna, of Dussasana, and the wicked Sakuni. I mean, that isn't just a threat, right? It's an absolute decree spoken by Keshava, Krishna himself. This is the explosive starting point of our story today. He goes on to say that slaying these wicked men and defeating their allies isn't just about revenge, it's actually eternal morality. This raw, unyielding fury is the anchor for everything we're about to explore. So, to really grasp why Krishna is making such a terrifying vow, we have to set the scene. The Pandavas have been banished. They're living out in this great forest in absolute affliction. But, they aren't alone for long. A massive, powerful coalition of allies gathers around them. The Bhojas, the Vrishnis, the Andhakas, the relatives of Panchala, King Dhrishtadyumna, the Kaikeyas, and leading them all is Vasudeva, Krishna. They show up and find these mighty heroes stripped of their kingdom through pure deception. And looking at these injustices, these allies are just absolutely fired with wrath. They sit down around Yudhishthira, and the tension in the air is literally thick enough to cut with a sword. In fact, the tension is so high that Krishna himself falls into this intense passion that seems bent upon consuming all created things. He is visibly, violently furious. Seeing this apocalyptic anger, Arjuna realizes he has to step in and pacify Krishna. But how on earth do you calm down a being of infinite energy? Well, Arjuna's strategy is fascinating. He steps forward and begins to recite this massive cosmic hymn, reminding Krishna of his own immeasurable history and divine nature. Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer, mind-boggling scale of time and discipline Arjuna brings up. He reminds Krishna that he wandered the Gandhamadana mountains for 10,000 years, living on water alone. He dwelled by the lake of Pushkara for 11,000 years. He stood on one leg on the high hills of Ladri for 100 years, essentially living on air. Definitely don't try that at home, by the way. He spent 12 years performing an emaciated sacrifice on the banks of the Saraswati, looking like a literal bundle of veins. And then he stood on one leg for 1,000 celestial years on the plains of Prabhasa. Arjuna uses this incredible timeline to ground Krishna, basically reminding him of his infinite asceticism and supreme rulership over all the worlds. But Arjuna doesn't just stop at asceticism, he maps out Krishna's absolute duality. On one hand, we see Krishna as the ultimate creator, the source of deities like Brahma, Surya, and Dharma, the creator of the firmament, the earth, and the 10 directions. But simultaneously, we see him as the ultimate destroyer. He's the one who slew the Asura Naraka, defeated Shishupala and Jarasandha, completely destroyed Salwa and that flying city of Soba, and crush the Mauravas and Pishas. Arjuna is masterfully juxtaposing these two realities to firmly establish Krishna's unmatched absolute supremacy over the entire mobile and immobile universe. And that brings us to a really beautiful definition from the source material. Arjuna addresses Krishna as Hari. The text defines Hari here as the developed seed that is to expand into the vast whole of the universe. Take a second to just let that sink in. Arjuna is recognizing that Krishna isn't merely some king or a powerful ally sitting with them in the dirt of the forest. He is the foundational source of all existence. He's the beginning, the end, and the mover of all mind. And this brilliantly illustrates Krishna's response. After Arjuna finishes his grand hymn and the forest goes silent, Krishna looks right at him and validates this profound, totally inseparable cosmic bond. We have Nara representing Arjuna in the mortal realm and Narayana representing Krishna in the divine realm. Krishna tells him, "Thou art mine and I am thine, while all that is mine is thine also." He explains that they are actually the twin rishis, Nara and Narayana, born into the world of men for a very special purpose. It's a bond so tight that Krishna explicitly declares, "No one can understand the difference that is between us." But right as we are totally swept up in this grand, echoing scale of cosmic awe and divine twins, the emotional tone of the assembly radically shifts. The cosmic awe settles down, and this raw, deeply intimate human grief takes center stage. Draupadi, surrounded by her brothers, steps forward, and she is demanding justice. You have to listen to the grounded, heartbreaking emotion in her words here. Alas, During my season, stained with blood, with but a single cloth on, trembling all over and weeping, I was dragged to the court of the Kurus. The stark contrast is incredibly powerful. We just spent minutes discussing gods creating the universe and slaying ancient demons, and now we are confronted with a horrifying, deeply human trauma. Draupadi endured this absolute humiliation while the wicked sons of Dhritarashtra laughed at her, and she endured it while her powerful, divinely backed husbands simply sat there and watched without stirring. Draupadi is meticulous. She doesn't just cry, she builds a watertight case for her wrath. She walks Krishna through the dark history of Duryodhana's cowardly deceptions, detailing his horrific assassination attempts against the Pandavas back when they were just guileless children. First, mixing fresh, virulent poison into Bhima's food. Second, binding a sleeping Bhima and throwing him into the Ganges to be bitten by venomous black cobras. And third, setting fire to their sleeping house at Varanavatha, fully intending to burn the illustrious Kunti and her little children to death. So the crucial point is the sheer hypocrisy of her situation. Just look at what her husbands are actually capable of. Draupadi recounts Bhima's unbreakable might. I mean, he digested that virulent poison without a scratch. He woke up in the river and smashed those venomous serpents to pieces. He leaped from that burning house, carrying his entire family on his back like the mythical bird Garuda. He fought the dreadful, man-eating Rakshasa Hidimva in a clash that sounded like lightning, and he slew the terrible cannibal Vaka. Her frustration is so palpable. Her husbands possess literal superhuman strength. They digest poison for breakfast and defeat mythological monsters, yet they somehow failed to protect her from despicable little men of contemptible strength. It's a devastating moment. She hides her face with her soft hands and begins to weep, the tears just washing over her. And then she delivers this absolutely crushing line. Husbands or sons or friends or brothers or father have I none, nor have I thee, O thou slayer of Madhu, for ye all sit still unmoved. The isolation in her words is heartbreaking. She is directly challenging the very foundation of their eternal morality. The virtuous are supposed to protect their wives. She lists her relationships to them, her 5 mighty sons, her extraordinary birth, and she demands protection based on her unwavering devotion. Well, her grief absolutely shatters the standstill. Draupadi's tears are the catalyst that finally forces an irreversible commitment from the assembly. The quiet endurance of the exile is officially over. It's time for the vow of vengeance. Vasudeva turns to the weeping Draupadi and promises her that the wives of those she is angry with will very soon weep exactly like her, beholding their husbands dead and weltering in blood. He tells her she will once more be the queen of kings. And then he speaks the vow that literally bends the rules of reality itself. The heavens might fall, or the Himavat might split, the earth might be rent, or the waters of the ocean might dry up, but my words shall never be futile. The creator and destroyer of the universe has made a promise. The path to war is officially locked. Let's move to and see how this builds, because the momentum in that forest shifts instantly. Draupadi's brother, Dhrishtadyumna, immediately seizes the raw energy in the air. He coldly and systematically assigns who will execute which of their enemies in the coming slaughter. He declares, I will slay Drona, Sakindin will slay the grandfather, Bhima, Bhimasena will slay Duryodhana, and Dhananjaya, Arjuna, will slay Karna. Assisted by Rama and Krishna, they declare themselves completely invincible. Following these words, all the heroes turn their faces towards Vasudeva. The die is absolutely cast. The cosmic vows have been spoken in the silence of the forest, and it leaves us with a haunting question to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. If the divine architect of the universe, the very being from whose navel creation sprang, looks at you and promises your destruction, can any mortal army possibly save you? The inevitability of the impending bloodshed is absolute, and it sets a thrilling, terrifying stage for the rest of this epic. Thank you so much for diving into this with me, and keep that hunger for knowledge alive.